Hey guys, how's it going? I wanted to talk about an experience I had last night. It was kind of a dream. I've been having a lot more experiences that come out of a dream state. And I haven't been recording a lot of them lately, so I'm gonna have to play catch up and go back and record some of those. Sorry if my tongue is blue right now because I just had a blueberry smoothie and got back from the gym a little while ago, and I made myself a smoothie, so it turned my mouth kind of blue. So anyway, last night I went to sleep listening to an interview that Darius did recently with Sarah Westall, and it was his second interview with her. So I was listening to that in my headphone and I fell asleep. And sometime during the night, I was having a dream that I was at the workplace that I used to work at, about 5 years ago, with those people. And I was just visiting them. I was in the break room and I wasn't working, but I was just there to hang out and talk with them. And there was something weird about the environment that made me realize that I was dreaming. This is what usually happens. I'll be dreaming and then something weird happens that makes me think, I think this is a dream. What that was, I'm not entirely sure. I think it had to do with me trying to find somebody's number in my phone, and the whole screen looked different. I couldn't get to anybody's number. I looked around at the people there and I was like, this is a dream, guys. This is a dream. We can do whatever we want. And they're all looking at me like, what are you talking about? I said, there's a test we can do to see if this is a dream or if this is real. I said, so if I jump up and I start to fly, then we know for sure that this is a dream, and then we can all do whatever we want. So I jumped up and I felt it. As soon as I jumped up, I felt that light feeling that I get every single time I realize I'm in a dream. I always jump up, try to fly. I don't know if any of you guys experience that, but flying is my test. Some people have a test that look at their hands, and I should probably, I feel I should probably do that. That would be better. But for some reason, every time I'm dreaming, it's that's what I do. I always just jump up and then I'm flying. So I was still in the room with them. I was in the break room with them, but I was flying up above them, kind of floating up. And then I was watch this, and I did a little somersault, came back down. I know it sounds so stupid, but that's what I did. I'm come on guys, you can do this too. And I was trying to get a couple of the other girls there to try to fly, but nobody was really having it. So I was watch this. And I looked at the doorway to the break room and I said, watch this. And I said, I command myself to go through that doorway, and I just flew through it. And then I was I command myself to come back, and I flew back into the break room. So just on that command thing, lately every time that I have a lucid dream, I've realized that I can say I command something to happen and it happens instantly. That was something that I think I heard on one of Darius Wright's interviews that he did, where he talked about that your soul, it's really nothing that can control your soul. You really have the ultimate control of your soul when you're out of your body. I'm not saying I was out of my body or not, but whatever it was, I'm starting to realize that I had an ultimate control over what I could do. So after flying around the room for a little bit, I was I'm going to go outside, and because every time I have these things, I keep saying I want to see the halls of Amenti, and I do set that intention that I want to see something more than just flying around the room. So at the beginning, I was I just want to become lucid in my dreams, and then be able to get out of my body from that state, because it seems to be the easiest way for me to do it and the most common thing that happens for me personally. Only twice did I really felt like I came out of my body and was like walking around my house. But usually I'm like in some kind of a dream, and then I realize it's a dream, and then from there I gain control over it to a certain extent. I don't know how much I was completely conscious in this particular instance, because, well, I'll just keep saying what I did. So anyway, what happened was I left the break room where we were just all hanging out and talking and eating, and I went outside and there was snow on the ground, and I looked up in the sky and I started to say, I want to see the halls of Amenti. I didn't say I command to see them. I just said I want to see the halls of Amenti. I looked up in the sky and I saw a bright white, kind of like a streak across the sky, like when you see the Milky Way, only it was a lot brighter. And in the middle of that, I saw like a bluish, smaller kind of light that was growing and glowing. And when I saw that is when I started to say, I want to see the halls of Amenti. And I kept watching it. I started to go up a little bit towards it. And I think I was probably like, I don't know, like 20 feet in the air or something. There were some people with me on the ground. They were watching it too. And I started to verbalize, I think, everything that I was seeing, because I was afraid that I was going to forget what I was seeing in my dreams. So I thought if I spoke it, that when I woke up, I had an awareness that when I woke up, there was a possibility that I could forget what I had just seen. So I started to speak it, and I said, I see a white light, I see a blue in the center, and now it's sort of morphed into like a ship or something, like a spacecraft or whatever you want to call it. And then I'm not saying I believe in space aliens or anything like that. I'm just telling you what I saw in the sky, okay? This is kind of a weird, crazy dream. And I saw a craft, like kind of like, and I described it. I was verbalizing it. I was like, it's kind of like you see in Star Wars. You see a ship in the sky, and it was very white. And then I started to realize that there were little windows, like tiny little square windows all along it, like an airplane, like a ton of windows. And they were like shooting lasers out the window at something else. I don't know. It wasn't like violent. It was just like it was shooting out these lasers. And I was describing them. I was like, there's lasers shooting out of it. And I think what happened was I kind of got excited. And then it's sort of like the situation morphed back into a dream. And so instead of looking at a ship, it kind of morphed back into like a big tall building that I was looking at with windows. And I was like, oh no, maybe that's not a ship. So now I come down, I go back into the break room, talk to them about food again, just like a regular dream. And I was like, I come here every day to eat with you guys, which I don't. Okay, so this is just a dream. But in my dream, I would go socialize with my old work friends. Now I'm retired, right? But I was living, I guess, close by, which I don't, but I was living close by, and I was like going in there and eating with them, just shooting the shit every day. Just fun. And I was like, I should bring you guys food sometime. What should I bring? And this other nurse, she's like, you should bring us steaks. And I was like, steaks? It sounds kind of pricey. She's like, no, you should bring steaks, and for sides, you can bring this for side dish and this for side dish. And I'm thinking to myself, that sounds way too rich. I said to her, that is too rich for my blood. And it was just funny, like, just talking and like socializing like we used to. So I left, and I said, well, I gotta go, and I'm gonna go, and I left, and I started walking out towards the parking lot. And where we live now, in the country we live now, like, we don't have a car, we just have a motorbike. So I'm going through the parking lot, I'm trying to find the motorbike, and I'm looking at all these motorbikes, and they look really weird, like very unusual, very kind of like space age. And I'm like, this is really weird. I can't find my motorbike anywhere. And I was like, wait a second, I bet this is a dream. So I started to have another realization that this was not real, this was a dream. And then again, I started to jump up and started to fly, but then I came down very quickly because I was starting to like wake up in the morning, because this was probably like 4 o'clock in the morning or 4:30, and I have 3 dogs, and they start to make noise and like, you know, get a little antsy pantsy and rolling around in their kennels. So, but I kept, you know, dozing back off, and when I would doze back off, I would kind of go in and out of that semi-awareness state that I was aware that I was dreaming. So anyway, that was my most recent experience with lucidity in the dream state. It's starting to happen more often. I would say a few times a week that I will become lucid in a dream state. Sometimes I see loved ones that have passed away, and I talk to them. And so that happened recently with my mom. So I'll do that in the next video. But for now, that was my most recent experience last night. And I know that not a lot of people watch my videos, so even if nobody ever watches it, for me, this is just a way to keep track and to have a record, you know, for myself of these dreams and these lucid dreams and whatever they are, these experiences that I'm having at night. And I don't know, I hope you all, like, you know, learn something from it, and feel free to let me know, you know, you guys' thoughts in the comments. And I'll try to get down some of those other dreams on video soon too. Have a great rest of your day. Thanks. Bye-bye.